Good evening and welcome to ET Times. I am Jenny Lewis. Zai Dongsheng, Deputy Director and Secretary General of the Foreign Strategic Studies Center of the Communist Party of China, explained in a live broadcast on November 28 in Shanghai's Watch Video Studio that there may be political and tactical considerations in the timing of the CCP's push for financial market liberalization, one of which is the CCP's perception that the Democratic candidate Biden is about to take office. Zai Dongsheng mentioned that the CCP has been able to fix the United States in the past decades because it has old friends in the U.S. circle of power, Wall Street, who speak for the CCP. But that all came to a halt with the arrival of Donald Trump. He said, "Why can't we handle Trump when his administration is fighting a trade war with China? It used to be that between 1992 and 2016, China and the United States could settle all kinds of problems and all crises, whether it was the USS Milky Way, or the bombing of the embassy, or the crash of the plane, everything was settled within 2 months of each other. What was the reason? We have people above us, and we have our old friends in the American inner circle of power." Zai Dongsheng disclosed that Wall Street has a very strong influence on the domestic and foreign affairs of the United States since the 1970s. So the Chinese Communist Party has a path to depend on, but the problem is that Wall Street's status has declined after 2008, and more importantly, after 2016, Wall Street can't handle Trump. He also said that during the US-China trade war, he learned that Wall Street also tried to help, but couldn't do much, but now we see Biden coming to power. The traditional elite, the political elite, the establishment, their relationship with Wall Street is very close. As you can see, Biden's son was told by Trump, "You have funds around the world. Who helped him build the fund company? Got it? It's all bought and sold here." Zai Dongsheng suggests that the CCP helped Biden's son build the foundation. He cited the example of 11 Jinping's visit to the United States in 2015, in which he was in charge of coordinating the warming up of the Communist Party's various systems, which was done by creating public opinion and arranging a book launch in the United States. An old Jewish woman also helped out. According to Zai Dongsheng, the old lady is the Asian president of one of Wall Street's top financial institutions, has not only Chinese citizenship but also a Beijing residency, and owns a courtyard house in the Dongcheng district. In addition to Zai Dongsheng, former Asian Development Bank President Zhang Zhishun, former director of the International Department of the Communist Party of China's Central Bank, Ding Yifan, Deputy Director of the World Development Research Institute of the Development Research Center of the State Council of the Communist Party of China, and Yao Yang, Director of the National Development Research Institute at Peking University, are said to have been involved in the discussion. For decades, China has had an intertwined interest in Wall Street. Guo Yuran, a professor at the Institute of Asia-Pacific Studies at Sun Yat-sen University, said in an interview with the Epoch Times that he often jokes that the father of New China is actually Clinton, referring to the time when Clinton fattened up the Chinese Communist Party, and that the history of the Democratic Party's confrontation with the CCP is a history of the CCP's growth. He said, "From the past 40 years of experience, the U.S. policy of engagement with the Chinese Communist Party has proved to be a failure, from an international strategic point of view if Biden is in the White House. It is Obama 2.0, when Obama was in office, the ISIS problem is not solved, the return to Asia policy has no concrete success, but allowed the Chinese Communist Party to become more rampant in international organizations, the leftist hypocrisy, not pragmatic position, to promote the U.S. internal affairs heavy wear and tear the national power, and he create a period of strategic opportunity for the CCP. If I were Xi Jinping, I'd be happy to see Biden jump into the Obamacare mud again," Guo Yuran said. And while Biden also wants to mend ties with allies, he can't be expected to maintain the same decoupling policies as President Trump. He says that President Trump's surprise tactics are relatively effective. For example, the first 4 years of the Trump administration, the demise of ISIS, the arrest warrant for Huawei's CFO Meng Wanzhou, the continued visits of senior U.S. officials to Taiwan, the rapid adoption of arms sales, the U.S. South China Sea patrol frequency and intensity increased. President Trump said he would do what he said he would do, take concrete action. And President Trump did not engage in a virtual conspiracy with the Chinese Communist Party, anyway, If you do not comply, I'll beat you. This tactic makes the Chinese Communist Party chill. Guo urine analysis, Kawakubo re-election, as long as the first term to do things continue, such as trade, technology, fight against the CCP persecution of human rights, to curb the Communist Party South Pacific expansion of power, continued joint major countries to counteract Huawei 5G, go red supply chain, etc. I believe that the next 4 years the US-China situation will reverse more. At present, the US election is still hanging in the balance. The Biden camp exposed a massive fraud scandal. President Trump's legal team has collected a lot of evidence of fraud and is fighting a legal battle, while Biden, who claims to have won the election, can't wait to form his cabinet. And he received a congratulatory certification from Xi Jinping. At the same time, evidence is mounting that foreign powers, such as the Chinese Communist Party, were deeply involved in the US election. President Donald Trump's administration issued a presidential executive order on November 13, declaring a state of emergency in the United States to contain the threat from the Chinese Communist Party. It also issued a series of sanctions against companies linked to the Chinese military. It announced the formation of a new international coalition to defeat the Chinese Communist Party, and issued a new document outlining 10 tasks to deal with the Chinese Communist Party. At the same time, the Trump administration has purged the Chinese Communist Party from within, and has replaced top pro-Beijing officials in the Defense Department. The Chinese Communist Party's oldest friend, Kissinger, and 11 others have been expelled from the Defense Department think tank. He has been called an old friend by the Chinese Communist Party, and is a typical representative of the pro-communist faction in the United States, which has been promoting the strategy of embracing the Chinese Communist Party. This is completely at odds with Trump's current policy of decoupling the Chinese Communist Party. The Trump administration has repeatedly stated that the U.S. policy of engagement with the Chinese Communist Party over the past decades has been a complete failure. The result of the U.S. policy of embracing the CCP is that the U.S. has been inviting wolves into its home, which has resulted in the U.S. being infiltrated by the CCP in politics, economics, media, education, and society at large. Behind the election chaos, it is believed that it is a battle between the founding principles of the United States and the socialist consciousness of the Communist Party.